Hi, I'm Captain Mike, and today we're going to make a bird feeder just like this one. Now this is the second of these similar bird feeders that I have made. The first one I made I think about a year ago, and I made it using glass and a chick feeder. It worked okay. This is a chick feeder from Tractor Supply. It cost about $6. You might can get them a little cheaper. I used a glass quart jar, and it screws in and like that. And I used a plate. You can use bigger plates or one this size, and stuck it on there and put all the hardware through it. And it hangs up and it's fine. Birds land and they eat, and it worked okay, except with this one, whenever you have to drill holes in all the glass, okay, and you get some failures. It's harder to do. You have to have a core bit. But problem that I didn't like about this was you fill the jar up with bird food and you turn it over. Well, actually you do it that way. You'll turn it over this way and screw it together, and then when you turn it back over, about a third of the bird seed, when it falls into the feeder, it's not full. So I mean, I didn't like that. And when you take it apart, you have to make sure it's completely empty and then dump all this out before you refill it all again. So I decided there must be a better way, and there is. There's a less expensive way. This bird feeder is made for probably less than $3, maybe even less than that if you get really thrifty. And I'm thinking to show you how I make this. Now, the first thing you're going to need is some tools. And the tools you're going to need is you'll need an electric drill. If it's got a cord, it's fine. You're going to need an assortment of drill bits. And you're going to need a screwdriver, and you're going to need some stuff to mark with, and probably a X-Acto knife. You might need a square, and you might need some things to find the center of a circle. You probably can get around that, but it doesn't hurt to have those if you have them. And you're going to need something to dispense some silicone with. I use silicone. You can use E6000 or something like that, but this is a great thing to have in your shop. It lends itself well to all kinds of projects. Just kind of a tip. Now, the supplies that you're going to need is you're going to need a couple of plates. I use a large charger and a smaller plate. I actually like one size smaller than this. This is a regular size plate. But this is what we have today, and this is what we're going to use. So you have the charger and you have the plate. Both of these can be purchased for $1 each at the Dollar Tree. I get them at one of my local Goodwill stores. Seasonally, these things come on sale. People change out the colors for the holidays. And I can pick up sometimes 4 to 6 of these for $3. Same with these. So these cost usually less than $1 at Goodwill. You're going to need a jar of some sort. We're going to use this one today because I screwed up the one that I was going to use, which is just nothing but a plastic Duke's mayonnaise jar. I drilled the wrong size hole in that. So we're going to use this one. So it doesn't really matter. Either one will work. If you use a regular quart mayonnaise jar and you've lost the lid, you can use a regular 2-part mason jar lid. You just have to put a hole there, and you're going to have to drill it or knock in there with a nail or something. But we won't use that one today. We're going to use this one. And you'll also need a cup holder or an eye screw. It doesn't really matter which. And you'll probably need in fact I know you will, you'll need a sheet metal screw. This is about a number 4, about an inch long. It's stainless steel. I like to use stainless steel where I can. Now, those are all the supplies and the tools that you're going to need that I can think of. So the first thing you're going to have to do is drill some holes. and we won't screw it up again like I did earlier. What you're going to have to do, let's make the charger top first, and you'll take your lid, and your lid is going to fit right on the charger just like that, okay? Which means that the charger is going to have a bigger hole here than the lid, because you're going to screw, we're going to use the cup holder in this case, you're going to screw the cup holder into this, and it will hold it in place, and will also keep it in place until the silicone dries. So we're going to drill a bigger hole in this, and that looks about like 1/8 of an inch, something like that. You can tell by you know, drill a hole in a scrap piece of plastic, and if this will go through it on the charger, then you've got the right size. Now, you know, pay kind of close attention, because you don't want to mess up like I do and drill the wrong size hole, and there's several different holes that are going to have to be drilled. So the first hole is in the top of the charger, using about 1/8 of an inch bit, just like that. Make sure this will go through it, just like that. Okay, you're halfway there. Now, change this out. We're going to use an itty-bitty drill. This is, gosh, I don't know what it is. I could go find out, I guess. But it's very, very small. It doesn't matter. We're dealing with plastic here. If you just get a hole to start it with, the cup holder will cut itself in and make the threads. Now, you don't have to worry about finding the center on almost any of these plastic tops. They usually all come with a little dimple right there, and I use that dimple. Now, being careful not to drill a hole in your hand, and you take and line your drill bit up as best you can. You may have to start a little hole or something and drill a hole in it, just like that. If it's not dead in the center, it's not going to hurt a thing. Now, what you're going to do is you want to take some silicone, and you want to run it around the top of your top, just like that. Now, this stuff is messy, so be careful. Put your cup holder through, kind of line up your cup holder on the hole you just did, and start screwing it. Just start turning it. It'll cut itself in there, and just turn it until it tightens up, you know, just kind of firm. It doesn't take much. You don't want to break it through, you know, break the threads loose. You want it to hold. And so there, you've got the first part of that done. That's simple enough. Now, it's a good time to paint it if you want to paint it, or paint it before you do this. I don't ever paint mine, but you can if you like all the really nice, pretty colors. So that's it. Now on the bottom, it's sort of the same thing. Sort of the same thing. We're going to be putting this plate into the bottom of this. So the hole in this jar will be smaller than the hole here. And you can use the same drill bits you did. Now we're going to go ahead and drill the holes in this, but there's something else we're going to have to do before we put it all together. So let's just go ahead, and since we have this small drill bit in here, and again, you'll already have this little dimple in the bottom. It'll give you a rough idea where you need to drill. Now, this plastic that they make these out of is some pretty tough stuff. So it drills and it holds up good outside. And we'll change out again, and we'll go back to this this bit right here. Now, it very well may be a little bit smaller than this, so I may have to wallow it out. But again, on this one, on this plate, there's a little emblem right here. You can kind of fake it and see where the center is without drawing these marks. But it's a good idea. And you also need to go ahead and put you 4 equidistant marks on the very edge of this rim, and we'll show you why in just a minute. So let's go ahead and drill this hole, double check it to make sure the screw's going to go through it. Now this stuff drills just a little bit harder than the other, so hang on. Now you could use a little bit bigger drill bit than that. That's the one I got here. And we're just going to keep walling it out just a little. Just be a little more proactive than I am. Alright, now you see the screw goes through the bottom. And it's the same with this. You just do the same thing. Depending on the shape of the bottom, you might could use a smaller, shorter screw. Not a smaller, but a shorter screw. And when we get ready to put it together, we just screw that right down on there. But we're going to have to do two things first. First thing we're going to do is we've got to put 4 holes. I use 4. You may decide you want more. I put 4 holes equidistant on the bottom of this jar, somewhere right along the bottom. In this case, we're going to start right here at the very edge, and I'm going to show you what type of a drill bit I use. Of course, we'll start off just putting a small hole with this one, but you can either use a center finder and put you 4 equidistant holes, but in most of these cases, these jars already have sort of a little cross on them. Can you see that? Is that showing up good? This one's the same way. It's got them on there. So that kind of helps you out just a little bit on where to start drilling. Again, none of this is exact science. Birds don't care, as long as you get it where it looks pretty good. So what I will do is I'll start here about like that, the bottom of that little ring, drill a hole, move it over, find the next place, and do that all the way around. One more time. Now here's where you may have to go buy something, but don't consider it part of the cost of the bird feeder, because you're going to use this many times. And you don't have to do that. You can also draw you little circles right here with your Sharpie, and you can cut them out with a X-Acto knife if you want to. But I'm going to show you what I do just for grins and giggles, okay? And I use this little jewel right here. I pick them up for very little at Harbor Freight. They come either individually or in sets of 2 or 3. And they work great on metal, they work great on plastic. I use them all the time. But what we'll do now is we have our pilot holes we just drilled, okay? And we just kind of angle it and drill us a hole. I drill a hole about that big. You can drill it as big as you want it. You may have to experiment a little bit. You might get too much seed come out of that particular hole or not enough. You can always go back and make it bigger, but you can't make it smaller. And you just drill all 4 of those holes. It's that easy. Now there's a lot of flash on this, and you'll take your X-Acto knife, and being very careful not to cut yourself, you're going to clean the flash off. So you just kind of take your X-Acto knife and you go around it and you clean the flash off. Not as easy as it looks, but it's what I use. Okay, I've got all the flash cleaned off, or at least most of it. That's probably the hardest part of doing this is cleaning the flash off. You just have to take your time and get it as clean as you want it. It's really not going to hurt anything. It's all for aesthetics at this particular point. But you really have everything done to your jar that you need to have done. You've got the hole drilled in the bottom, which is slightly smaller than the cup, the bolt you're going to use, or screw you're going to use, and you've got your 4 holes. Now, all this leaves is basically this is a tip, and that is you're going to put some holes at these 4 equidistant marks I told you about inside this ring, because if this catches water, it'll hold it. So you want a way for the water to drain out should it splash in there. I use about a 1/4 of an inch bit. You can use whatever size you want to use, and you know, just remember, if it gets too big, seed's going to fall through it easily. So a 1/4 inch seems to be about the best compromise. Now, take your time, and I put a little too much pressure and it chips it. You know, if you had a piece of wood under it, it might work a little better. I don't know. A lot of times I do this on a drill press. It seems to work a lot better. You know, you'll have to experiment a little bit yourself and just see what you want to do, how you want to do it. It's not an exact science. My way is not the only way. Now, there you go. Now, it shifted out a little bit on the inside, but there again, you might want to paint this, and the birds absolutely do not care. So you've got your 4 holes, and you've got this ready to go. So now what you're going to do is kind of a rinse and repeat of the top. You're going to put some silicone. The silicone helps to hold it all in place so that, you know, with time the screw could work loose or something like that, and the silicone, once it dries, it's there. It makes life much easier. So I put my screw through. Again, you'll kind of line up your little hole and start screwing it. And once you get it kind of started with your fingers, then get your screwdriver and tighten it on down until she's tight. A little tougher than you think. I probably should have used a bigger screwdriver, but I didn't. And plastic here on this particular piece of plastic is proving to be just a little tougher than the mayonnaise jar. It's just a little thicker on the bottom, but it's getting there. Y'all just bear with me. Well, we'll get there. Okay, almost done. Almost done. There you go. So that's there. That's nice and neat. You've got your hose for the water drainage. You've got your little hose for the bird food to come out of, and you've got your top. And pretty much that's it. You screw it on, and that is your bird feeder. Now, there's only one other thing that you're going to need to do, and I won't put them on this one. I'm just going to show you on this other one so that you can, and I'll tell you why you do it. On this one, if you can see, I have 4 divots cut in this ring right here. This ring is raised and water will sit in here. So I cut 4 divots. You can use a hacksaw, you can use whatever kind of a saw you wanted to. I used a grinder, a little grinder with a grinding pad on it that I have to cut these. It's faster. But you can use anything you want, but you want to cut about 4 of those divots. When the water gathers here, it won't sit. It'll run right out. If you want to put a little bit of silicone around it right here, that won't hurt either. Anything that you can do to keep the water out will work good. So you can put a little silicone. And that's it, folks. That is all you have to do is fill this up by taking the top off. Much easier than the other model. Fill it up, put the top back on it, and hang it. And you're good to go. Don't know where my hanger is, but just hang it and the birds will be happy and you'll be happy. So there you go. That is my inexpensive bird feeder. Probably less than $3, and they're a lot of fun to make. Birds really appreciate it. All right, folks, I'm Captain Mike, and that's my video on how to make yourself a bird feeder. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have comments, put them below. If you have suggestions, put them below. I try to get back to everybody. So thank y'all for watching. I'm Captain Mike, and I'm out of here.